Hello everyone and welcome to another Total War Warhammer live BattleCast. In this game we're going to be playing the Empire and we are indeed facing off against Norsca. So we're going to do a bit of a crusade themed build. We do have Volkmar the Grim and he actually has fire damage himself, so against Skin Wolves and Throg even, he's a pretty good choice. So on top of that we do have the Bright Wizard. So the Bright Wizard is going to be on a horse because he's going to be riding Gandalf style with our Knights of the Blazing Sun. He has the Flaming Sword of Ruin, Cascading Fire Cloak, and I'm actually interested to try out Fireball in this matchup. So for the front line, we do have a combination of Greatswords, who are going to be pretty good against pretty much all Norscan infantry. Granted, the Marauder champions with great weapons can trade really well with them, but aside from that, if he brings Marauders or Berserkers, these guys will massacre them. On top of that, Flagellants, we got some guns for elephants, and we do also have some Spearmen to help out in the back line. So, good luck to my opponent, Greenskin 2012. Should be a good time. We actually just finished, I'm like speaking in the third person now, but I just finished playing an auto-generated cast, which is pretty fun. So hopefully it'll be up before this game, but let me know your guys' thoughts. It was a pretty wild one. But yeah, guys, Empire definitely has a good matchup with Norsca. I mean, especially if you use the Dwellers Below. I mean, even if they go like heavy duty, like Skin Wolves and like all these other guys, and I mean, Dwellers Below is just makes the Empire so strong. I mean, you don't even have to use it with the Nets of Ammontalk, honestly. Like once enemy cav or other units like that commit to an engagement, it's like you have very little time to get out of the area of effect. So you got some creative freedom there. So we'll see what Norsca brings. But honestly, I think the way to beat the Empire with Norsca is to go very wide. You bring Marauders with great weapons. What are they? Are they called just Marauders with great weapons? Yeah. I guess you just bring Chaos Marauders with great weapons. Then you mix them in with some standard Marauders, just kind of like fodder units, like Berserkers. So you kind of mix match. Great weapon Berserker, great weapon Berserker. That's like most of your front line. You just want to make sure to be wider than the Empire. Because Marauders with great weapons, or Chaos Marauders with great weapons, can actually trade pretty efficiently with great swords. It's really like, if you just look at it from a cost analysis perspective, it's very effective for you. Even though the great swords will win, like you'll do a ton of damage for the cost, which is really nice. And then, on top of that, that cost that you're saving there, you're then, getting around their flanks and getting into their handgunners and different things like that. So you also need to use Hounds. Hounds are extremely important because the Empire back line, all those powder units, the silver bullets, and handgunners and all of those bad boys are allowed to just sit and fire at your Norscan troops. Like you're not going to last long. And also, if they use the Flaming Sword of Ruin on their guns and then they shoot at your Skin Wolves, man, that is just a recipe for Norscan disaster, that's for sure. But this map has some good terrain for us. My apologies for the long load time. It is indeed the nature of the live battlecast, but we can kind of set up here on this slope if we really want to and just kind of like turtle. But honestly, I'd rather take it to him in open field because I do have the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and Volkmar wants to go crusading, so we're gonna try our best there. Cool. So we have our front line, and you guys notice how I set it up in the lobby when I was picking, and then that way when the game starts, it's just gonna be like already in the formation I want it. Some fancy trickery there, some fancy trickery going on. So cool. So we're set up there with our front line, and then the secondary line, we can go ahead and get our silver bullets in the middle. Definitely our most sensitive group of guns that we want to keep protected. So we're going to put them there. We're going to put these guys here, and these guys here on the far side. Great. So we're going to put one group of spears on each side, and hopefully we can kind of keep tabs on his hounds and different things like that. I mean, most of the games I've had trouble against Norsca is like I just kind of like have a lapse of attention, and I don't notice like a bunch of Chaos Hounds like running around my back. So cool. So this is going to be our Crusading Goon Squad. We're going to have the Knights of the Blazing Sun, the Bright Wizard, all kinds of stuff. And I mean, with Volkmar's stat augmentations, like, the Grand Hammer of Sigmar, those guys are going to be beasts. So we're going to move our way out into the valley. We're going to like set up right here and try and engage our opponent head on. Granted, if we really, I don't know, turtling here might be okay, but then again, if he has like big monsters, mammoths and things like that, and we're all like bunched up, he can do like a ton of damage. So there's gives and takes, but Volkmar, I like him in this matchup. I had him used against me when Norsca first came out. I forget who it was, but they did a pretty cool job, and he seemed to trade pretty efficiently with the Norscan troops due to his fire damage. So, and I think it was like was I using Throg? I can't remember, but regardless, Throg, there had been matchups where I'd fought that, and Throg took quite a bit of damage from Volkmar, and Knights of the Blazing Sun and all that stuff, definitely cool, very thematic. But also I think they're, like, all jokes aside, even though I'm doing kind of a themed build, I do think they're good in this matchup. Like, I would consider bringing them, but granted, Demogryph Knights have that armor-piercing and anti-large, so I don't know. It's hard to say what's better, but these guys definitely look way cooler. And we got a good gun line, too. Just got to protect those bad boys. So it looks like my opponent's setting up. As far as army sizes go, he has a pretty small army, so he's going narrow. He could just go the Marauder Champion route, which is going to be fine because I didn't bring nets. Like, if this was a tournament game, I would be bringing nets for sure. Like, nets are so incredibly good. So we're going to kind of pile into the valley right here and meet our opponent head on. So he's got Berserkers, Marauders. I'm not seeing AP in the front line. He does also have Wolfric the Wanderer on a Mammoth, which is going to be a huge target for guns. But he does have the Skin Wolf Werekin. He's got some Javelins as well. But I think we have a pretty superior cav force, so it'll be interesting. In the front line, we have to make sure, we have to try our best to get our Greatswords on top of his Berserkers and then our Flagellants on top of his Marauders. That's like the ideal trade you want. So looks like he's marching. I think he's marching slowly. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was lagging for a second, but I think his army's just like marching due to the due to the pacing of his unit. So we're going to get our guys up in front, and if he wants to come in with these skin wolves right here, that is going to be a very bad trade. Granted, he does have a Shaman Sorcerer with Death, Scroll of Shielding, so he's probably going to cast Fate of Boon, honestly, on one of my knights here. So let's just wait for some magic, and man, I really want to try out that Fireball. And these guys need to come down and around here. The pathing on this map is a little bit strange for sure on these type of maps, so we'll get them just like so, and yeah, that should be fine. So hopefully they'll be able to get there by the time the fighting starts. So we can keep screening with all our mainline troops and everything, and that should do the trick. So Volkmar does have the Grand Soulfire, which gives us magic resist. So if we were fighting against like Famir or some of those troops that do magic, I wonder if I could actually, if he uses the Fate of Buna, and then I pop this gives nearby troops 90% magic resist. Oh, that's going to be pretty good. Let's see if we can bait that and I can time it. I feel like that would be strong. So I wonder if it works after the fact. Like if I'm already like, the effect is already doing its damage, and then I cast it. Does it start mitigating it, or do I need to use it beforehand? So that's actually a really cool kind of a synergy I didn't think of, like a counterplay for like Death, and even the Dwellers Below. Like if they had a Dwellers Below and you have Volkmar, you could probably then use Grand Soulfire, right? The radius is pretty small, so it needs to be hitting the center mass, but nonetheless, I think that's pretty cool. So let's kind of just position up and down the flanks and see if we can get a little bit of a fight going. I want to just buy time for my units to get in position right here, because if he just like blitzkrieged me and charged, like, it's a little bit awkward. So, but it looks like we're going to be totally fine. So once our main forces kind of square up here, we can get going. I don't necessarily want to force engagement on the outside. He does have Skinwolf Werekins and also Spears, so he could zone me out and then he could push up the middle and I would be trapped on the outside. So maybe we just kind of hang tight right now and advance our main force and take advantage of our powder, which we got some technological advances on these Norscans. So cool. So let's go ahead and posture up. His army looks a little bit out of position, a little bit discombobulated. So we're going to push up here, get on the outside right now. I think it's fine based on the circumstances. And although we probably want to leave something in the back line in case Wolfric comes charging through. You can see his javelins look like they're coming after me right now, and you can see his skin wolves immediately reacting. So we're going to take this fight over here, and let's while we're at it, let's shoot a fireball at these guys and see what it does. So he's going to shoot this fireball, and then we'll pop I don't know if we necessarily need to pop Arcane Conduit, but is it going to go? Okay, let's see how much damage this does. So they have light armor, right? And no, that's okay. Looks like, I think it killed a skin wolf. A little bit underwhelming, to be honest, but you know what? Can't complain. So our guns, we're going to go ahead and get them shooting at Wolfric right here. This is going to be a ton of damage. So he's going to need to react pretty quickly here, or else Wolfric's going to take some work. So we're going to come in here. Do we want to just keep feigning the charge? Yeah, we'll keep feigning the charge, because the longer the fighting is delayed and the more guns he takes, it's going to be pretty bad for him. So Wolfric's already taken damage, and honestly, by the time the fighting starts, it's gonna be a little rough. So we're gonna give them the Flaming Sword of Ruin, which is gonna hit both of our guns right now, and it's gonna buff them up pretty good, and then they're gonna do a lot of extra damage. Ooh, look at that. That's some juicy burst right there. So we're gonna pull our cab back and actually use them as a centerpiece right now. And honestly, wherever he goes with those skin wolves, we can just kind of screen them out. So I want some mass to kind of obstruct to those guys. So we're gonna get the Flagellants right here. We'll get the Great Swords right here. We'll get these guys. Unfortunately, they're gonna take the full brunt of that charge, and some of these guys got a little bit overzealous. So we'll get these guys here, and these Great Swords can go ahead and charge in right here. So Knights of the Blazing Sun, we're going to pull them back, and we can get one group right here, and we can send them right up the pipe against these Berserkers. And this other group, we'll put them in group 4 for good record, and group 2 can go screen these skin wolves over here. Great. So we'll get the spears going as well. We have our guns online and everything else. And where are these guys? These guys are actually back in position. You can see Wolfric is taking a ton of damage. So, and we'll get our spears there to protect. And it looks like, Volkmar is going to get in here. We'll go ahead and pop these different buffs, which is going to be good. And we do have the Cascading Fire Cloak. So we're going to use that on our troops that are fighting in the pocket. Nice Fate of Buna from my opponent, but nonetheless, Wolfric is just taking so much damage. Like, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold. We did have a little, a few unfortunate engagements in the front line, but for the most part, it's as long as his lord is just, oh my goodness, that guy got put down. So we're going to run these guys back here. We're going to run these guys back here, and then we're going to run our other guns. We can run them over here. Great, so this battle seems to be going well. Volkmar does have some buffs, so let's go ahead and pop these different ones right here. And we can cast the Cascading Fire Cloak, which is going to give us a little bit of extra damage. So unfortunately, our back line has been compromised a little bit, which is a little bit dicey. So we're going to turn and shoot here, keep running these guys off here, and where else do we want to shoot in the front line? We can shoot at some of these Berserkers. So let's get these Flagellants kind of helping out against that Skinwolf Working. Great, so Volkmar here seems to be doing pretty well, and you can see a lot of these Skinwolves and different guys are routed off, so we can honestly just leave the spears right now, and we can just go hunting in the back. So we're going to go after the Skinwolf Werekin. We're just going to leave these Spearmen right here to help out. And honestly, they can just go chase over there. Great, so Volkmar seems good. We do have our Empire line firing, so we're going to pull these guys back here to start doing some crossfire covering. And the Crusade's coming back to help its bro out. So let's get these guns repositioned up on the high ground. Volkmar and company seem to be doing well, and our Greatswords are also, man, they're really smashing it up on that front line. Great, so we are in a little bit of a running scenario here, but hopefully those guys get put down, and look at the damage that Volkmar is doing to these guys. So I think we can use these Cav over here, because Volkmar and the Bright Wizard can honestly handle this guy. We're going to cast the Cascading Fire Cloak on our Greatswords. Oh, those are our spears, darn. Oh well, it's okay. And let's actually try fireballing this guy and see how it does. So we're going to cast the Arcane Conduit, and do we get the fireball? Let's watch his HP. So 2,000 HP. Come on, what are you guys doing? Get over there and help out. Quit messing around here. You messed up my whole test here, but we didn't get to really see it. But Volkmar needs to get in there and just kind of start hammering this guy. We'll get the magic resist. Our guns are back online, so we'll start shooting at that Death Sorcerer, and we'll get these cav moving back in there. Great. So yeah, these guys are definitely going to rescue the guns, and once the guns are secure, like he might break my front line, but he's not going to be able to like get in the back and really do anything substantial. So the Skinwolf Werkin is broken, which is good. So I'm tempted to send these Knights of the Blazing Sun since they're so beat up anyways. Let's get Volkmar in the front line, have him help out a little bit, and good. So we can start shooting at these Berserkers and company. He does have some Skinwolves back in deep route, which is going to be a little bit tricky, but nonetheless, I think we're in good shape. Knights of the Blazing Sun, we can send up after these Marauder Berserkers. Let's get our gun set up there. And we do have the Grand Hammer of Sigmar. So man, these greatswords have just been holding all freaking day. So we're going to kind of collapse right here with all these guys. Definitely going to be a heroic rescue for these Sons of Sigmar. We do have these Flagellants running up, and also our cav are going to run down some of these Norskins, and it should be A-okay. So I mean, honestly, the biggest factor in this game was the fact that you know, he took so much damage on Wulfric. Wulfric taking that much damage is definitely not good. So we're going to shoot that Skinwolf Werkin to make sure he doesn't come back. We're pulling back a little bit because that Death Sorcerer was getting a little bit crazy, and yeah, that should be good. I think most of the rest of his forces are going to kind of collapse here, so let's just kind of push through and just finish off these Javelins who are targeting down my Lord. We have some great swords coming back, so we'll position those guys, and our guns are just doing some serious work. So that Skinwolf Werkin he's not going to be long for this earth with these handgunners shooting at him. So Cascading Fire Cloak, just use it on anyone who's fighting pretty much. Volkmar, we can use the Grand Soulfire, all those different goodies. Let's go ahead and charge into this guy right here and kind of polish him off. So, you know, one concern is he does have those two groups of Skinwolves back. He's definitely didn't bring them back terribly quickly, which is good for me. We'll finish off that Death Sorcerer. You can see that guy's done for, and just yeah, just move up our gun line right now. So a very atrocious frontline engagement, but the Knights of the Blazing Sun did it. Are they actually called the Order of the Blazing Sun in Warhammer lore? I'd be interested to know. I think they are, which is pretty badass. I mean, I've seen some fan art of those guys, which is just so cool. So we're gonna have Volkmar chase down the chariot, which is gonna be good. Our caster here is actually taking a little bit of damage, so we're gonna kind of pull that guy back. Oh, these Skinwolves are gonna get Last Samurai so hard. Oh man, I'm so excited for this. And it looks like they're thinking about coming in. They're thinking if they want it, but I think they're quickly realizing that it's quite a dangerous gambit. So we'll get these greatswords in here. We're gonna pull back a little bit just to be safe. We do have our guns coming after those guys, so hopefully they'll get some decent fire, and Volkmar is running back to his troops, and then we can turn and fight. So with the fire damage, he's gonna do some big deeps to these guys for sure. So he gets in there, and you can see he just plows one of those Skin Wolves, and the Knights of the Blazing Sun coming in for the rescue. So we'll shoot at these Berserkers, and he does have some other Skin Wolves over there that we can finish off, and it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. So well played to my opponent, Greenskin 2012. It was quite a battle. A little bit of sloppy initiation for me in the beginning, but we were able to compensate by protecting our back line, and Knights of the Blazing Sun trade really well with those Skin Wolves for sure. Granted, he did engage, you know, when I had some spears. Granted, I think he had some spears as well over there. I'm not sure. It was a little bit of a messy fight, so I couldn't quite tell. But Greatswords really held their own. These 10 in the middle, they took a Chariot charge, they took a Mammoth charge. So they didn't last terribly long, but I mean, you guys can see 104 kills and 112 is pretty huge. And you know, the Flagellants, they did their piece for sure. But Knights of the Blazing Sun and this kind of a goon squad, I definitely like it. It's fun and, you know, semi-competitive. I don't know if it would be winning any tournaments, but it definitely can take games off Norsca for sure. So, well played to my opponent, Greenskin 2012. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder. And hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed this Volkmar Crusade game. Have an excellent night and take care.